We're going to turn it over to Carolyn Call. She's a certified nutritionist and entrepreneur, and she's the founder of Just Ingredients. Let's go to the stage and listen in.
One day I remember sitting in a rocking chair. Oh, I'm going to cry. Sitting in a rocking chair, and I looked, and my tunnel was black. There was no light, and I thought, I can't do this the rest of my life. There is no light at the end of the tunnel. And so the depression got worse and worse, and one day I thought, I'm done. I can't deal with this. I've lost hope. There's no more hope. And I actually attempted suicide on that day and tried to take my life because I did not want to be here anymore. And thankfully, by the grace of God, miracles happened during that act. Angels appeared from the other side, and that attempt failed. At that moment, I realized that I'd hit rock bottom and that I needed some true help. And so I went searching for a doctor. It took 2.5 years to find a doctor that could finally help me. But she taught me that depression was a symptom. It was my body screaming for help, and that depression could be due to a lot of underlying root causes. And I feel like if people knew this today, that there is hope and healing out there, we might not have the huge mental health crisis that we do today. There are a lot of different possible root causes for depression, and we did blood work and urine tests and saliva tests, and we found out a lot of my issues, from simple things like being low on vitamin D to not being able to absorb B vitamins to lacking in magnesium, being low in omega-3s, having high inflammation. I had cortisol issues. I had hormonal issues. I had too much estrogen. I had liver issues. I had food intolerances. Like, the list just goes on and on of things that was happening in my body. And so, of course, my body was screaming for help with depression. And so I went on a nutrition route after working with this doctor for 2.5 years because I never wanted to fall back into that depression again. She had taught me how to fuel my body properly so that it could do its best in return for me. And I wanted to be able to learn how to always fuel my body properly, but also teach my kids so that my kids would never have to face what I faced. And so I went to Cornell to become a nutritionist. I did a lot of studying and learning of how to always fuel my body. Well, about 7 years ago, I felt like everybody around me was dealing with anxiety, depression, autoimmune issues, migraines, chronic fatigue, chronic joint pain, you name it. It was community members, extended family members, church members. And I kept feeling this prompting from the Spirit saying, help them. And I was like, I don't know how to help them. And I'd hear it again, like, help them. And I thought, well, if I could go in their homes and teach them how to cook nutritiously and how to grocery shop, that could help them. And you can't go do that. So I was like, you know what? I'll just make a little Instagram account and try to give little tips on how to help people. And if I get 2,000 followers, then I've hit my goal. And that's great. And so I did this little Instagram account, and for about 18 months got 2,000 followers. And so at that point I was like, okay, this is really busy doing this with 6 kids. I'm going to tell God that I've followed that prompting that I had, but I'm going to tell him now that I'm done. And so I went in prayer and said, God, I just want to let you know I hit my goal, and I'm really busy with 6 kids, and I think I'm going to stop posting. And I just felt like, no, keep going. Well, about 3 days later, I went back to God and was like, I don't think you heard my prayer. I'm going to be done. I think I can be just better doing other things with all my 6 kids at home. I don't think this is the right path for me. And again, I heard, keep going. So a few days later, the 3rd time, I went back to him and said, okay, you really didn't hear me. Let me make it very clear. I think I can use my time wisely in other things. And at that point, I heard him say, do you trust me? And I was like, yes, I do. So I kept going. And in 1 month's time, I went from 2,000 followers to 100,000 followers. And during that time, though, I came across some stats that were similar to these, but these are now in 2023. And it said 12.8 million adults had serious thoughts of suicide, 3.7 million made a plan, 1.5 million attempted suicide, and suicide remains the 2nd leading cause of death for those ages 10 to 14 and 20 to 34. And I was like, this is not okay. And guess what happened? I felt the Spirit tell me, you need to tell your story of depression. And I was like, nope, not doing that. No way. Not doing it, because when I would ask for help for my depression, I was judged, I was critiqued, people thought I was weak, people thought it was made up, people didn't understand it. Nope, that's too hard, God, I'm not doing that. So I sat with that for a few weeks, and again, I felt really prompted, you need to tell your story. Again? That's too hard. God, like, I've already trusted the first one by posting, but this one is too hard. You don't understand. You remember how terrible it was back in those days. The third time, you need to tell your story. And again, the third time, I heard, do you trust me? And again, yes, I trust you. So I told my story. I don't think I've ever been so nervous in my entire life to tell, at this point, like 500,000 people that I had tried to take away my life. I was afraid of what the comments would say and what people would say. But I did it. And I had this thought the whole time, trust in the Lord with all thine heart. We know this from Proverbs. And lean not unto thine own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. And I also had this one, I tell my kids this one a lot, and it rang true to me. Be strong and of good courage, be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee whithersoever thou goest. So I had to believe, is this really true? Is he going to help me? He did help me, and by telling my depression story, many, many people came out saying, oh my goodness, thank you so much. I've been going through this, or my daughter's going through this, or my son, my daughter-in-law, or I've gone through this, or please help me. What do we do? And so I was able to teach how to help heal depression. And I was able to teach people how to deal with infertility and deal with all these health issues that are out there. And because I trusted in him, he has blessed Just Ingredients with so much. We have a podcast that has over 10 million downloads with top experts and scientists and doctors out there trying to help people feel better. We have an Instagram account with over 1 million followers that are actively engaged trying to learn how to feel better. We have over 250 products that are helping nourish people's bodies so that they can have the health and energy and happiness in life to do the things that God has called them here to do. And so I think mental health is really important. I think God has given us a purpose of being here on this earth, but we have to take care of our bodies so that we have that energy and that happiness and that passion and to do the things that he's called us here to do. And mental health is a huge issue these days. And so these are just 5 little things that maybe you can remember if you're dealing with a loss of hope or sadness or unknown or depression or anxiety or fear, any of those things. So first is support your gut. So the gut and the brain are connected. And in fact, this is interesting. 90% of the nerve fibers carry info from our gut to our brain, and only 10% carry the info from our brain to our gut. And so our gut is really important. Also, 90% of our body's serotonin, the feel-good hormone, is created in the gut. A lot of people deal with leaky gut, which can contribute to inflammation. Inflammation is a root cause of depression and anxiety. And so if you want to know if you have maybe leaky gut or issues, basically if your stomach hurts after you eat, or you're bloated, or you have a lot of sugar cravings, or feel tired after you eat, these are some of the things that can say, maybe look at your gut a little bit more. Another thing, as we all know, eat nourishing foods, but what I didn't realize at the time when I was dealing with depression is that the nutrients fuel our brain, it fuels how we feel. For instance, omega-3s are needed to create hormones. If you're low in omega-3s, you may be struggling with some hormonal issues. You could be dealing with inflammation. Omega-3s help lower that inflammation. B vitamins are crucial for feeling good mentally. Over 2/3 of people that deal with depression actually suffer with deficiencies in B vitamins. Magnesium is amazing for the nervous system and relaxing that nervous system when we're always stressed and go, go, go. So God gave us foods to nourish and heal our body. Man put the artificial things out there that do not nourish our bodies. And so the artificial ingredients just are not helping us nourish our bodies. But like I said, God put amazing foods on this earth. So think about your gut. We need to feed our gut good things to feed those good bacteria. He did that with fiber. Fiber feeds the good bacteria. Think of all the plants and veggies and fruits and beans and things that he's given us in nature that have that fiber in it to fuel the good bacteria. Fermented foods do that as well. Guess what doesn't? Guess what feeds the bad bacteria? It's the sugars. The sugars that are in so many of our artificial foods. And again, another easy thing to help nourish our body is just to try to keep a good blood glucose level all day long, rather than these constant spikes of up and down, that actually can cause a lot of different hormonal issues. Another thing that I love to talk to girls about is balancing their hormones with beauty products. So women are full of hormones, which are chemical messengers. They're just going to the cells to go tell the cells what to do. We have skin cells, hair cells, heart cells. We've got all sorts of cells. And all of these cells have receptors on them. And the hormones come and connect onto those receptors to tell the cell what to do. But we have these beauty products that have things in them called endocrine disruptors, which you probably know. And these endocrine disruptors are found in the fragrance of that blossom cherry lotion from Bath and Body Works, that can smell like cherries for 5 years. It's because of the preservatives that are in there and the phthalates. And those things act like the endocrine disruptors mimic your own hormones. And so these cells that have receptors, instead of the hormones connecting onto the cells to tell the cells where to go and what to do, these fake hormones connect onto the cells. And so the cells are confused as to where to go. And this is causing so many issues for people with infertility, with mood swings, with terrible PMS, heavy bleeding, all these terrible things or hard things that women have to deal with. And so getting rid of those endocrine disruptors is amazing. And if you think about it, girls, think about how many products you use in a day, because you might be like, oh, it's just a little bit in the lotion. But I don't know about you, but me and my daughter, we're using shampoo, conditioner, body wash, get out of the shower, and it's lotion and deodorant and makeup and perfume and all the things. So it all adds up. The next thing is just managing your stress. Number 4, manage your stress. We all have stress. And that's just because it's life. And life is crazy and busy, but we can manage it. And so some great things to help you just manage it are moving your body. Breathing can actually instantaneously bring down that anxiety or even depression, things like that. Grounding is a great way just to calm the nervous system. Or I also love adaptogens. Adaptogens are herbs that God put on this planet that help our body actually deal with the stress. And number 5 would just be to prioritize sleep and exercise. Exercise to me is the greatest antidepressant out there. Sleep also supports the brain function. During sleep, that's where we detox a lot of things. And sometimes it's the toxins causing issues in our body. But your brain clears out, you store memories, you restore focus and decision-making ability. It also helps regulate your emotions. So quality sleep can really help you feel good mentally, which I know is so hard as a new mom. So the only time you don't get to really prioritize this in my book is when you're a new mom, because we're just surviving. But it also, sleep can really help balance your hormones as well. And so I just really believe that God gave us a miraculous body. And he gave it to us to do the things that we were meant to do here on this earth. But we also were given the responsibility to take care of our body. Our body wants to do its best, but we've got to fuel it properly so it can do its best. And I believe that prioritizing your mental health is one of your greatest strengths as a leader. Because, like I said earlier, we need to feel full of energy and passion and happiness to fulfill what you've been called here to do. When I was dealing with that depression years ago, there's no way I could have done good for my community. It was hard even to do good for my family, let alone the community or church members or anything like that, because I was in survival mode. I was just trying to live. And so do those things, fuel your body properly so you can have that energy, but also have the energy to trust. Because that's what's hard in life right now, is trusting that God will lead you on a path that he wants you to. 18 years ago, dealing with depression, I would never have thought that I was dealing with that to be here today. For many, many years after that depression, I always wondered why he saved my life. I was like, why me? There's so many others that hasn't happened to. But why? And I felt guilty for years and years. And then I realized, you know what? He's given me a second chance of life. I've got to make the most of it every day. And so, like I said, 18 years ago, I never think that I'd be here on the stage talking about this, but I know that God knows what he's doing and that he is helping us in our life on a daily basis. And this has been my motto for the last 15 years. Be strong and of good courage. Be not afraid, neither be thou dismayed, for the Lord thy God is with thee, whithersoever thou goest. And again, that can be health related, it can be with your business, it can be with your relationships, it can be as being a mom, it can be with whatever struggle you are dealing with. He is going to be there with you and help you make the most of your life. Thank you.